Hello my friends, this is Gosia from Cosmic Agency. Let's start a new episode of Mini Topics. Okay, for the new subscribers, the Mini Topics are small parts of the conversations that we had with them, or questions from the followers, stuff like that, that didn't get deepened enough or extended enough to make it into a separate topic or separate video. So that's why I combine them all together in a series of mini topics, okay? Okay, today we'll talk about the pulse star, HIV, immersion and memories, beds in the form, with the pyramids around it, Roswell, ETs reproducing with the humans, circumcision, pirate flag. This is old conversation with Anneka. Creation of matter. This is for physicists. Something to do with the language. Triangle symbol. Then various questions from the followers of Robert. Then a topic of drinkable water. And lastly, replicated food. Okay, so let's go right into it. The first question is a question from the follower. Hello there, Matt. And he's asking this. I'm still trying to figure out why the North Star stays fixed in the sky. Could you ask why it stays in one place if the Earth goes through the precession of the seasons? It should change location, surely, or does it move with the Earth? Okay, so this is going to be a very fast answer from Yaski, okay? This is what she said about this. The position is not perfect. It does oscillate. Only by a few degrees, but it is wobbling. The star does not move with the Earth. It only appears that the poles point to it. Polaris, the star, does not move. Just the Earth's axis in such a way that it always seems to point to it. That's it. That's all I have from Yaski on this topic. Sometimes we have to go very fast from one question to another, or one topic, or whatever we want to comment on, or they want to comment on. Thank you very much, by the way, everybody, for your questions. We are trying what we can to get your questions and pass them on. I'm not alone. Remember that this is also coming from Robert's side. So there are just so many questions and comments, and we cannot possibly pass all of them to them. And remember, this is not just some kind of a question and answers sessions that we have with them. This is a friendship we have. So we are talking about different things, and they're commenting on different things from themselves. So you have to be patient, okay? Now, this is a question from Dr. Alex, who is, by the way, our supporter from Spain, and he's a doctor, urologist, quite big one there in Galicia in Spain, and he passed me this question: what causes immunological insufficiency in patients with supposed HIV? Now, because this topic is a bit delicate, I'm not going to tell you now what Yaski said. You have to go to the website, wait a little bit for the transcript to appear, and I'm going to include the answer from Yaski in the transcript, okay? Not here. Okay, let's go to the next one, and this is about immersion and memories. I'm assuming you all know what the immersions are about. These mini topics are usually for the followers who already know more or less, at least, what we are talking about here. So some time ago, a few months ago, I had an interview with Jonathan and Shiva from the Matrixers on YouTube, who asked me the following question. If you are in the immersion and you remember things that you have downloaded from your avatar, like for example in my case, if I'm here from the Taygeta immersion and I download stuff from Gosia, remembering her life and stuff like that. So now, if we remember past lives, and we are in immersion, whose past life is that? Is that a past life of your avatar? Or is that your, from there, past life memory? So this is what Yaski here says. I have this in Spanish for some reasons. I'm going to translate this now right away in English. This is what Yaski says. I suppose this is a question of perspective and of opinions, but I would say that that memory of that past life becomes yours, because everything that comes from the avatar becomes part of you. And I say, okay, but my question is, whose memory was that originally? Because now I understand we are one, on all our stuff has merged. But what about before? Before we were not one. So whose memory is that? Now, this is what Yaski says. In the end, everything is in the ethers. And if you are in the avatar, in immersion or not, you are assuming and taking those memories as yours. To differentiate them, I think it would depend on the memory itself. What's the memory? Some memories could be easily to discern who they belong to. Others not so much, and still others would be impossible to know. For example, though, if you remember something from Poland, like in my case, I'm from Poland, Gosia is from Poland, so most probably that memory is coming from Gosia. If you remember being bitten by the mogiej, that is an animal they have on Toleka, well, that memory is from here. Well, that is very simple to differentiate, but sometimes we may have something not so easy, right? So that's why Yaski says the best you can do is simply let go and go with whatever and not worry too much about the details, because in the end, no one can know it all. Sometimes it is very clear where the memory is coming from your avatar or from your immersed self. Sometimes it's impossible. The immersions can be complicated, as Yaski says, and I don't even like them, not even to have fun. I prefer video games, old video games, Nintendo, Mario, and things like that. And here, I remember we had a conversation with Athena, and she mentioned that, Mari mentioned that some of the people, Taygetans, who devote too much time to these immersions, they might even develop depression because they depend too much on those experiences. It becomes like too real, and maybe your life here becomes less real, or you don't know what's real. It becomes very weird, so they get lost somewhere between realities. But I remember I said to Athena that I am going to play with those immersion games anyway. If I get bored, well, then I'm going to stop playing. But in my sense, this is like my metaphysical thought on the subject. Whether it is an immersion from the machine, like a technological immersion that you go and you download yourself to the experience, and the experience is as real as real life, or whether it is real life, so-called real life, it doesn't really matter. It's all just mind game anyway. Whether you created yourself or whether you created yourself using the tool such as technology, the experience in the end will be the same. So for me, life itself as it is a sort of a total absolute immersion game, especially when it comes to, for example, downloading memories from the ether, which souls themselves do, to have a certain context, maybe for their future life. They go and they absorb download memories from the ethers, and hey, maybe it's not their memories, but they play it out as if it's theirs. They go and live live, which for me is an absolute mind simulation anyway. So I think I am going to play with those immersion games. If I get bored, I get bored. Well, then I stop playing those. And that's just my thoughts about this for now. But of course, I don't really know. I don't remember playing those immersion games, so maybe they are right. Maybe it's boring. Maybe it gets old. Yeah, but for now, the idea seems interesting to me, so I'm going to try. Okay, well, next topic, this is about pyramid beds. This kind came from Robert's follower, and the question was as follows. I have seen for years that sleeping beds are made with an exterior structure in the shape of the Great Pyramid. Is it effective to regenerate the body while sleeping? And what material would it be made of? Okay, I'm going to read this, as most of these topics are read, and they're not from my memory. I'm reading. Athena says, they could serve to increase the possibility or to propitiate astral travel and lucid dreams. They could promote better quality of sleep, restorative. There is no firm data to support that, only that by logic, yes, it would work. More so if the bed is inside a pyramid. And of materials, the most recommendable would be amethyst quartz. If it can be built that way, or with that. Oh, imagine that kind of a bed made of a pyramid, made with a amethyst quartz. Okay, now Robert asks, can a wool cap or other material with copper wires serve as a Faraday cage, at least on the head, so that synthetic telepathy does not affect you? I'm going to have a short video on the topic of synthetic telepathy and what it means exactly. Or also it can isolate you from the thought waves of your neighbor at least. Because as we said before, Mari said that in her videos about the telepathic fields, even the thoughts of your neighbor can be affecting you. Athena responds, this would be similar to the case of the use of aluminum hats that are even made fun of in movies by being associated with madmen. For a Faraday cage to work, the subject must be inside a box with all 6 sides covered. If one side is left unprotected, the electromagnetic waves that the individual wishes to avoid would enter through it. So, in the case of both the cap and the aluminum hat, they would not work well because it does not enclose the brain completely inside the insulator. It is also said that aluminum hats make telepathic invasions worse or propitiate them, although I think that it could all be a plot so that people do not wear them, because they do work. We do not have more concrete data on the matter at the moment. Laboratory tests would be needed. Thank you very much, Athena. Now we continue to the next topic where Yaski will be responding, and that is the question from someone. Is that true that ETs can reproduce with humans? Well, we already said that Taygetans cannot. So here Yaski says, some can, others cannot. I mean, that's just common sense. And the ones that can, it is because they are more humans, even when they look a bit different. And it also means that humans couldn't have evolved on Earth, as they say. Humans are more aliens. Get over it. And I here ask, which ones can reproduce? Yaski says, I would calculate like some number in the proximity of 200,000 races can reproduce with humans. So I say, how come Taygetans can't? And Yaski responds, some, even though may look alike, internally differ genetically. Some may look very different, but genetically can reproduce with humans. But others may be very different inside, as are the Taygetans. The difference is the central nervous system. It is simply very different. It is said that the reproductive system is also different, but perhaps a little, but mostly not, because even human females can do parthenogenesis. It is just suppressed. Okay, talking about the topics of the body and strange things, circumcision. Where did that come from? Why do the Jews have circumcision? Where does this tradition originate? Where does this tradition originate from? And Robert comments that there are also non-Jews who do that as well. And here we have answers from SWARUU 9. It comes from the idea, this is going to be very interesting, comes from the idea that they resemble the gods, the El, because the Taygetans don't have that extra meat there, or skin, or whatever. I don't know exactly how this works. And it is also a symbolic castration that denotes being faithful to their new beliefs. Interestingly, it also limits the sensitivity of the penis, making the man need more sex to be satisfied, and with that, have less emotional union with the woman. And here Robert says, are Taygeta men operated on? And SWARUU 9 says, no, that is a genetic difference. Taygeta men don't have that extra skin. So it's like making it look like they are gods, or like gods. Like tying the heads of babies to make them look like Homo capensis, which are these Pleiadians with long, elongated skulls. One race of the Pleiadians is like that. Now, I'm asking, so the Taygeta men, they don't have that. Okay, that means that they have less sensitivity there as well? And SWARUU 9 says no. That is in the case of operated terrestrial men. Here, that is normal. Now, this is a boring subject, has been covered, whatever, Roswell, but this was a part of the conversation that was very long time ago. Dale here is asking, did the Roswell UFO really crash or not? And Yaski responds, that was not only one crash, there were several there, but they were not crashes. They were downed with energy weapons based on microwaves. The little Zeta Grace, because that's who was there, the little Zeta Grace did not come across several hundred light years just to crash Willy Coyote style in the New Mexican desert just because. Now, radar frequency microwaves interfere with the sensors in the craft, so it blinds the computer and it cannot manage the engines correctly, so they do not cancel gravity correctly any longer. And the result is the ship hitting the hard deck. It was real, and what a mess it created. The weather balloon theory later, it's just cover-up. Point on the side, Taygeta fighter-class starships and larger vessels are immune to that, by the way. Taygetans only use gravity manipulation for maneuvers, not as a main propulsion system, only functioning as ailerons do in a normal aircraft. Okay, cool stuff. Now, let's go to the older topic that Robert talked about with Aneka, and this is about a pirate flag. Robert he needed to know about the pirate flag. Aneka says here, it's simple. There were many pirate flags. There were real pirates, as they are painted, groups with a captured ship that ravaged the seas to plunder other ships and to plunder villages. But the most famous and most successful pirates worked for the Cabal Illuminati, Vatican. And of these, the most famous and most obviously working for the Cabal was Sir Francis Drake. Note in the name Sir, he was a knight of the British Crown. And Sir means great serpent. Also in the name Francis Drake, dragon, more reptilians. Now this emblem is a skull and bones 322. And here Robert is asking, why was it a good thing to arrive at the port with that flag? Because you had defeated these pirates and snatched the flag from them? Aneka says, this means that this flag is telling you that this pirate ship is from the regressive Cabal and is used to overthrow governments and to subversively, without other governments knowing, alter who is in power in the seas and coastal places they are interested in dominating. What happens is that a symbol arrives diluted to the public. It becomes Disney-like. So it is used only as an emblem with playful and basic meaning. When a warship arrived to port with the pirate flag waving, it means mission accomplished. And the same crew raises it out of tradition without knowing what it is or where it came from, just because it looks pretty. Now, this is HMS Conqueror, British nuclear submarine with the pirate flag waving, mission accomplished, after sinking the Argentine ship General Belgrano during the Falklands conflict. And this is the same submarine here. Now, Aneka says, note something important above, that this symbol was clearly used by both sides of the war, World War II, Germans and Americans, because they were under the control of the same criminal Illuminati organization, as I show in the images above. Now, let's pass on to something different. This is about the creation of the matter, and the question also is from someone and is as follows. What particles comes first in creation of atom, matter? Is it proton, neutron, and then comes the electron to atom? Okay, now Yasky responds, and Yasky is going to respond in a very Yasky way. Okay, they are only human terms. And if you study the theory of manifestation, you will understand that none of these particles comes after another. Everything is created simultaneously, and it is only the human mind and its need to try to understand things by the sum of their parts that assigns characteristics to what is only potential matter. So I say, okay, so they only manifest. There is no one behind the other. And Yasky says, that's right. I was talking about manifestation of matter from ether. If you already give it temporal values generated by one consciousness or more, there is a sequence, but according to subjective parameters or only those of the observers. And I say, yes, I mean that. So from that point of view, there would be a sequence in the creation of matter. And Yasky says, well, that sequence would not be from the point of view of which particles. In the manifestation theory, there is talk of nodes as points where particles are formed, but that will be only from the point of view of generating particles. If you want to manifest an elephant or a ship or a red London phone booth with the drunken vomit inside, you would manifest everything together. That is, all the particles that compose it. However, there are no particles either, since even on Earth, Heisenberg's theory of uncertainty dictates that one cannot know where a particular particle is, so it always remains only as potential energy. In itself, speaking in a way more focused towards consciousness, there is nothing in itself. The telephone booth does not exist and never manifested itself. Rather, the mind and consciousness, according to the circumstances that are the preconceived ideas in sequence, according to the matrix field in which the subject is immersed, is the one that interprets that potential energy as a telephone booth that had the misfortune of being installed outside a pub. Very Yasky response, right? Great. Okay, well, that's it. That's all I have on this subject. I hope it satisfies whoever asked this. Now, another question. This is from Robert's side. And the question is this, about the language. What would be the best way to learn their language if a human wanted to do it? And another question, how could books, for example, Taygeta, be translated into the generalized human language? Without the telepathic component, there is no point in learning Taygeta, is there? And Athena responds, There is no way to learn it well without telepathy, because it is not linear, and without telepathy it loses meaning and sounds like what on Earth is called star language, which on Earth ufologists mistakenly label as quackery and meaningless. And by the way, I'm going to have another mini topic in the video of mini topics about the star language. Is it real? Is it not real? I'm just gonna give you a short advance that yes, it's real. Probably there are people who are making it up. Still, it's real. But I'm gonna leave it for that next video. Now, Athena continues. The way to translate it is, actually, I was not referring to the star language, light language. Light language, it's the same. Light language, yes. Okay. The way to translate the Taygetan is manually, with someone who speaks both languages. Taygetan language would not be validated by human linguists because it is meaningless to them, from their point of understanding. Without the telepathic element, it is just chants and phonemes without logical syntax. But it wouldn't be like listening to dolphins, because I have heard that. That would be Syrian. Okay, so that's on the topic of the language. Now, I am asking about the meaning of a triangle, because I've always been very attracted to the symbol of a triangle, the triangle itself. In fact, my logo is in the form of a triangle, which, by the way, everybody says, oh, not everybody, some people say it's an Illuminati symbol because it's a triangle. Well, yes, they use it, but it's not theirs. They took it, and they now use it as theirs, but it's a universal cosmic symbol. So I'm asking, what does it mean? Does it mean anything for Taygeta specifically? And she says this. Now, in the beginning it starts not so interesting, but then it evolves. So she says, well, not directly. It's not directly related to Taygeta. It is only seen as an energy collector, not as a symbol, as, for example, Illuminati uses it as a symbol. But now I'm asking, but Taygeta doesn't have any triangle symbols in their culture that are relevant? Athena says, it can be found looking for it. However, I don't see it as very relevant, not like wings, for example, a very, very important Taygetan symbol. I'm asking, why does the triangle collect energy? And she responds, actually, it is the pyramid, because it reflects everything towards the center by its geometric shape. And here I'm showing her this symbol. It's something that I like very much, always, even before this experience with them. And I'm asking if it means anything related to the Pleiades. Okay, and this is where it's kind of interesting. So Athena says, that symbol in the center retains energy. Yes, I have seen it before in the Pleiades. Like that, or almost the same. However, it is not the symbol of the society or anything like that. So, is it an authentic symbol of the Pleiades? I am asking. Coming from Pleiades? And she says, I don't know if it was created there or if it is something shared, because as we always say, as Mari explained, the cultures, extraterrestrial cultures, share a lot of influences with each other. But I have seen it in Taygeta. I doubt very much that humans have created it. It is a basic symbol, very well known. It means energy, as in concentration of consciousness. It is used in meditation places, sanatoriums, and temples. So I'm saying, okay, then someone has exported this symbol to Earth, some starseed or step-downs. And she says, surely. Very cool. Okay, now we're going into the section of miscellaneous questions from Robert's followers. First question. Referring to the attacks we receive to our psyche, what kind of technology could be used to adapt the spaces with protection so that we cannot receive attacks at the psyche level? So Athena responds, It would have to be a very sophisticated device that detects subtle frequencies of the type used by invasive synthetic telepathy technology and transmitted in a way that cancels the frequency and wavelength of those transmissions. However, from what I know that is used on Earth, it could work to be inside a very good Faraday box or two, one inside the other. Okay, and Robert asks, okay, another question. Do you know anything about scalar frequency technology that would serve to repel those psychic attacks? Scalar, that term we use when we refer to various densities at the same time, like something that transmits and transcends into other densities. She says, I do not know about the existence of such technology on Earth. Outside, yes, there is. They are synthetic telepathy suppressors. They are even used as part of the electronic countermeasures of a ship or military personnel. Okay, and Robert continues. Okay, and this question. Is it possible to create scalable wave technology with quartz and robin coils in resin with pyramid shapes, activating them through consciousness to do the function of transmuting dense energies? Okay, and she says, the use or functionality of such artifacts could not be corroborated here when they were experimented with a few years ago. They are called orgonites. I feel more research would be needed on that. I would use them in the meantime, yes. Okay, next question from Robert is this. Is it true that there are etheric devices that belong to each different race? Athena says, we would have to define what exactly an etheric device is. Each species or race has its devices, with some common to all, of course. However, I cannot answer that question without more data. And Robert clarifies here. Well, there are videos on YouTube of certain races implanting etheric devices in the shape of a flower to lower the frequency of the implanted person. Could that be? Athena says, I will have to research or see examples of that. I have no knowledge of such things. At Taygeta's technological level, that's not even necessary. The current technology here outweighs the need for such implants. Robert says, but I imagine they are for lowering the frequency, or so they say, that the regressive races use them. Athena responds, it is possible, but they have more efficient methods, such as manipulating events in the environment or in the subject's life that lower their frequency. And Robert is asking, synthetic telepathy suppressors, what exactly is this? How do they do it? Athena responds, they detect the frequencies of the device that is transmitting the invasive synthetic telepathy and transmit the opposite frequency to it, that is, the one that cancels it and thus neutralizes its effects. This is used in combat as protection because many times frequencies and synthetic telepathy are used during a conflict. And Roberts is asking, and with that technology, could they do as if a person was parasitized? Athena says, yes, with synthetic and invasive telepathy. Robert says, but on Earth? And the answer is, outside of Earth, it is more sophisticated. But it is already used on Earth as well by the great powers. It is, or they are, classified devices, of course. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, all the ones who are asking the questions. Let's go to the next question. And now this is a separate mini topic, and this is on drinking water. This question came from someone in Mexico, I think, and it was, could you address the issue of drinking water if the shortage is real, Or is it just a charade by governments? And if it is real, what to do? Any method or system that you can implement? Athena here is responding. What happens is that there is a shortage of water, more so in some places than in others. But the shortage is manufactured. That is to say, it is artificial, and it is because of the big corporations that are physically monopolizing it. Also with a background of population control, because if they control the water, they control the life of the population itself. There is water. The problem is that the shortage is real, especially in the big cities, because instead of directing it to the population and their needs, it is being sold to the highest bidder, which are the big companies. There is also a strong element of governments pushing or exaggerating the scarcity of water to promote their own projects, including making it more expensive so that the population consumes less, and the volume of what they can sell to the companies increases. And Robert is asking that they consume less? The population uses water for many things, cleaning, food. Athena responds, yes, they would consume less because they are implanted with the idea that they should be careful with water. For example, there are many regions where people are fined for washing their cars with a hosepipe or similar. And the idea of bathing in 4 minutes is promoted, and that this is enough. Bathing in 4 minutes does not clean anyone, least of all a 2-meter bearded hairy man. In 4 minutes, he hasn't even wet himself properly. Okay, so here I'm asking, so there would be no natural shortage as such? No, it's just mismanaged. And she responds, not as such. However, artificially, yes. Remembering that there is also climate manipulation, where they can create shortages or rainfall in each region as they see fit. Okay, and Robert says, I imagine that water is like oil, inexhaustible. Athena responds, yes, as long as the water cycle works with the oceans. What can be lacking is drinking water for consumption. Okay, and Robert says this. In Spain, water is already listed on the stock exchange. Is that good or bad? Athena says, bad, because that means it has owners. They speculate financially with water, and it is no longer a human rights resource, free for all. And it no longer belongs to the people. Robert says, okay, so the water has become a business. Just look at the fact that it is already listed on the stock exchange. That means we will have more scarcity and speculation. Okay, and Athena says, yes, in addition to something else. The volume of fresh water on Earth is minimal compared to salt water or seawater, so they can control it. They have more and more infrastructure for it, dams, pipes. In addition, much of the fresh water in rivers and lakes is undrinkable or heavily polluted, products of human waste pipes and industrial waste. And Robert is saying here, are desalinization plants any good? Athena responds, yes, of course, but they are expensive and do not support the entire population. Okay, and the last question in this topic of water, Robert asks, what about importing water from asteroids? Is that valid? I think it was mentioned somewhere that they were thinking of doing that. Athena says, in a civilization with the technological level of Taygeta, yes, it is valid and even easy. And it is done in the case of mining, not water. But in the case of Earth and its official state, no way. That idea to me is more of what they push with the agenda to make believe that water is needed and scarce. It would be much more feasible and cheaper to install more desalinization plants. Now, the last mini topic for today is a question that comes from someone, and I think I already published Yaski's answer here in my social media and on the blog, on the website, but I'm going to put it here as well. And this was in the topic of replicated food. Mari SWARUU made a video about this, that the Earth Cabal already replicates food and cans and etc. And someone asked this. I don't quite understand. It has been said that the Cabal has not reached the technological level of creating matter from energy out of nothing. But a multinational can create to print food from energy? Okay. Here you have a perfect example of how some of these doubts and questions that seem to many people like, okay, there is a hole in their story and we've discovered something that is not fitting. This is an example of this situation where it is fitting. It's just that you don't have a fitting piece yourself. So Yaski answers this, and after this you'll understand how it all fits together. Because those replicators are not at that technological level, those replicators, the Cabal, still need basic raw material, and that's incomplete. Printing things directly from the ether is a technology far beyond what they have there. It's that they replace food volume with things like expanded styrene with artificial flavorings, because they don't have the chemical bases needed to print complex amino acids, vitamins, and complicated nutrients. So I'm asking, okay, so replicators don't really create matter from energy, or some like yours do? Yaski says, it depends on each type of replicator. Yes, there are those that print from nothing. Some of ours do. And Yaski and Robert here says, but food is biology. It will never be the same if you replicate that. Yaski says, the food replicated with cutting-edge technology from the ether, yes, it is almost perfect. But it is that almost that makes it you better not eat it, although it would still be healthier than anything processed terrestrial. It's just that molecules or molecular structure are reversed in replication. Not always, but it happens a lot. And the inverted molecule of a nutrient turns out to be useless to the body. An example of that is, as Mari said, vitamin C that is inverted, creating ascorbic acid, what they sell you as vitamin C in the pharmacy, which is completely useless for the body, being that what gives you relief in case of flu or cold is the acid itself and not the vitamin C. In that case, it would be more useful for you to consume apple cider vinegar and not ascorbic acid. Okay, so that was the answer from Yaski here on the topic of this question about the replicated food. I have nothing else today. I have so much more, actually, in fact, but it's going to be for next episodes of mini topics. So much, and it keeps getting accumulated all the time because these little questions keep popping up and answers from them. So I keep shoving it away into the mini topics shelf. But on the shelf of larger videos and topics, what do we have? Well, I would like to make a video sometime very soon continuing with this topic of MILABs and astral abductions, something that Mari actually talked about in one of her recent videos about the astral abductions. So I want to deepen that a little bit. Also, some time ago, Yaski switched timeline in a certain way. Okay, this is a kind of a long story, but we're going to talk about a little bit about this. How is it possible to switch timelines, like collectively, for others and for yourself, including? So we'll talk about that. I have a lot of metaphysical and timeline talks saved still from the past with our chats with SWARUU Verra. So that's going to be there in the agenda as well. And I would like to deepen the topic of mirrors. I have some more information about the topics of dimensional mirrors. This is something that Mari also mentioned in her videos. And synthetic telepathy as well explained. Influence of high density beings on us, like because it's all connected, we are all influenced by one another, even by the thoughts of our neighbors. We are living in the soup of telepathic field. But how do the other beings from high densities influence us? So that's going to be quite cool as well. A lot of Daniel James, who is doing Robert's voice, he's actually he asked me to do the video soon on Yeti, because this was done by Robert a long time ago, like 5 years ago. It was information given by SWARUU, and yes, Yetis are real, and Bigfoot and all that, and it was explained. So I have to make that video, and Daniel James actually has had experiences with some of those beings. So I would like to add the short interview with him to provide some kind of a real-life testimony about those beings. So yeah, a lot of things still in the production. Thank you very much for watching this video until this point. Welcome to all the new subscribers, and hello to all the old subscribers. And of course, I'm going to see you in the very near future in one of the next videos. Enjoy your day. Bye bye.